In April 1970, the Apollo 13 mission moved from a moon landing to a survival crisis. Getting those 3 astronauts home alive required an extraordinary display of rapid, high-stakes problem-solving from the ground crew. We see this same intensity during natural disasters. When Hurricane Harvey hit Texas, civilians spontaneously abandoned their personal safety, launching private boats into flooded streets to organize mass rescue efforts. Or consider Japan in the 1950s. The economy was devastated and the country had no natural resources. Yet, the population united to rebuild the country from the ashes in just 3 years. These events trigger a psychological state called we-thinking. It occurs when people discard egos, ignore wealth barriers, and forget about personal gain, to act as a unified organism for a common cause. But as soon as the crisis subsides, that unity usually vanishes. We return to the office, retreat into silos, and resume the awkward, disconnected interactions of the standard corporate world. This happens because standard workplace motivators, like individual performance rankings and personal bonuses, are structural barriers. They actively discourage collaboration by forcing colleagues to compete for limited rewards. We often wait for an emergency to force people to work together, but the synergy seen in those moments is actually the result of a specific structural foundation. By arranging goals and trust in a specific way, we can build that same high-level collaboration intentionally. The first step is realizing that putting a random assortment of colleagues in the same room does not automatically create a team. Most of the time, what we call a team is actually just a group. This is a collection of individuals who may share a common environment or interest, but who strictly make independent, disconnected contributions. An actual team is defined by mutual accountability. It requires a synergy of complementary skills, where every member is connected to a shared outcome rather than just their own task. Transitioning to this state requires a deliberate shift. You have to move away from parallel individual efforts and combine them into a single force. To make that transition, you need a foundational requirement, a singular aim. The aim functions as an anchor. During Apollo 13, it was bring them back alive. In post-war Japan, led by W. Edwards Deming, the aim was to save a country. Everyone involved knew exactly what they were working toward. Compare that to a typical business setting. If you ask a dozen colleagues what their project's core purpose is, you will often find they secretly harbor completely different understandings of the goal. Without a universally understood aim, even the most capable individuals will waste time and resources, pulling the organization in opposite directions. Once an aim is set, teams must survive a predictable 4-stage evolutionary cycle to build the interpersonal trust required to reach it. Stage 1 is forming. This is the phase of strangers meeting, where safe small talk is actually a necessary tool to break the ice and pull people out of their comfort zones. In Stage 2, storming, tension and conflict are mandatory to test boundaries. Resolving differences elevates the team to norming. Trust solidifies as members align actions with words and avoid gossip. Finally, they reach performing. Friction drops to 0, acting seamlessly toward the aim. But this architecture is fragile. Adding or losing even a single team member resets this entire 4-stage cycle back to the beginning. The acronym TEAM, Together Everyone Achieves More, describes a specific operational result, where the total output of the group exceeds the sum of its individual efforts. Reaching that level of efficiency requires leaders to abandon individual metrics. When Japan was rebuilding, companies like Toyota succeeded because they were willing to share resources, people, and energy across the entire infrastructure to meet the broader mission. The formula for this is consistent. Establish a clear aim, have the patience to weather the friction of the storming phase, and have the vulnerability to trust your colleagues. Mastering this architecture means you don't need a disaster to force cooperation. It replaces workplace anxiety with a sense of connection, making the day-to-day work more